Okay, so we asked an AI to suggest gents pendants, and this was one of the pendants that the AI drew for us. So it's a good part to use for a SubD tutorial. So this will be the final in the SubD tutorials that we're doing. I think it's primarily aimed at Yoon, but I mean anybody can learn from it. There's a couple of ways you could approach this. You could have done it without SubD. You could have just done a sweep up to here and then an extrusion and blended it. Many different ways to do it. I'm going to choose to go with SubD in this instance because I just think that I'm going to get a better feel for it. So let's get going. I've got my SubD most frequently used tool set up under my middle mouse button, and in this case I'm going to start with just mapping out some faces. So I feel like I want 3 faces here, so I'll restart the command and I'm going to make a series of 3 faces. So there. I'm going to also go over to quads. Okay, and I also want to go over to hard display. And I also want to go to shaded so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to get there eventually. Alright, so we're going to start building this SubD out, kind of polygon by polygon as we go along. This may not be the most efficient method, I guess, but for me, I like it. It works. It gets what I need done. And when you get to the thinner sections, you can start breaking it down to a double SubD, so like through here. Although I think I'm going to keep it as 3 because I want to lift this center section to be nice and round when I'm done later. So I'm going to come around the corner kind of like this, and then complete these SubDs here. And around here. And once you get the feel of how the geometry is going to lay out, it's not that hard to do. You can get around it pretty quickly, especially geometry like this, right? So I'm going to go here, come around this corner. Now we're kind of using our imagination at the moment because these SubDs are hidden, right? We can't see them. But I imagine that this is the flow that's happening in the back there. I mean, you can ask the AI, but I don't think it's going to tell you. Alright, so we come around there, and around here, and around here, and again, same deal here. You could have used a multi-pipe, I guess, to do this. I'm used to doing it this way, so I do it like this. Very hard to change old men. You know, old dogs, you can't teach them a new trick. Something like that, I believe that's the saying. Alright, so I'm going to come around here. We're going to keep going around. Apologies, I just like talking to myself when I'm doing this. So again, why I'm doing this with 3 is because you can see that you've got a nice round surface. I want to grab the center lot and loft them up a little bit higher than the other lot later on. So I'm just planning ahead. SubD most of the time is going to be about looking at the shape that you're going to produce and then allowing yourself enough geometry to do it while not overdoing the amount of geometry. Okay, so this is going to come down in here quite well. I'm going to be back in 1 second. And so we just keep working our way around. Apologies, I'm doing this in my working day, so it can get a little noisy in here sometimes. A lot of people needing things. So I'm going to come to there. I'm going to start trying to come centralized around this, and then that final one there, and then start working our way around. Oops, see, don't touch them because we're trying to make separate. So at this point we're down to 2 polys, which I think for this area is going to be fine. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm going to kind of try to hold the flow of what I think's happening here. Looks like that's what's happening. Okay, so if we zoom back, you can see that you kind of got this weird thing happening here, and the AI quite often has a mushy, so I'm just going to imagine that this comes out and over and back under. So I'll work on that afterwards once it's an actual poly. Then here it looks like it dips down very quickly and then forms this talon. So we're going to need a few extra areas over here, because the same as when you're working with a curve, the tighter you draw the items to each other, the more of a bend you can get, if that's the right word. I don't even know if that is the right word. So I'm going to produce another one down, say yay far. So I want 2 of them in there to give me a nice curvature. Something like that. Alright, then we can start coming, looks like, comes down something like this. Remembering we can straighten this all up after we extrude, right? Alright, then this has another small section where it straightens out into the talon. You'll see what I mean by this once I start the extruding. I'm giving myself a little bend area. Then we come in again, I guess like this, we can start straightening out what we need. Try to draw a little bit more evenly than what I did. I've drawn this once before, so I've got the benefit of having done it once, so I kind of know where the geometry wasn't great last time. Like that, and then we're going to work our way around the bottom tip. There, and this I'm going to bring in much tighter because we're coming to an end here. Bring this in tighter again and come around there like that, and I think this will be the final little bit of our talon. We'll pull it out once we get to the bottom section, then always remembering that you need to work with it a little bit more carefully in that area. So I think that pretty much we're done there. I'm going to draw a second SubD and I'll merge it after we've done the put together. Alright, so we've got this first section over here. You can see that it looks like there's a V and a kind of a bend, so I'm going to append a few tight corners on this so that we can come up and over. Then we'll do this as a separate bit and join it. So I'm going to just press enter for now to end that command. Then we're going to go in the side view of this item. I'm going to set over to shaded, and we're going to grab this entire thing and we're going to extrude it. So I'm going to turn off my filter, I'm going to grab that, and we're going to kind of extrude this thing upwards like that. Alright, let's go over to soft mode. Alright, so you can see where we're at with this. I think it's pretty much evident what we were trying to do. One last chance to look in your top view, go to ghosted, and then just double check that you kind of got everything you need. You can grab an edge and you kind of pull this edge out to get a nice sharp point over there. I think you're going to grab a couple of these edges like this, pull it out. What you're trying to do is avoid anything lumpy. You've got to also then, we are following an AI drawing, so I mean, take that for what you will. I think this is okay. I think we can pull that out like there. I think we're good there. Pull this one, looks like it comes out there a little bit. At this point we want to sharpen up, so we're going to pull this area closer to here. Remember, you get a nice sharp point when you do that. You want to pull this area closer to here because you get a nice sharp point when you do that. Alright, we're going to grab this through, we're going to come out a little bit, come out a little bit, as so. I'm going to pause the video, hold on. Alright, then we pull it through here and we start straightening out these sections. This looks like it comes comes up a little bit there like that, and that. So then what I'm trying to do is trying to smooth out the bits we can't see to make sure that it kind of matches what we had. All right, this to me looks like it would have gone in under there like that, something like that. If we grab that component, I'm guessing would have been round like that. So I'm only doing this because we're going to make it fully round in a minute. Then from the side view, this looks kind of wonky to me, but it's following the flow of that item. So then in the side view, we're going to go in here and we're going to start pulling down these items. I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to scale them upwards because they're not thick enough. Alright, so I'm going to scale them up, something like that, bring them back off of 0. And then we're going to start pulling some of these faces downwards. Alright, because these are, all of these come down. So I'm going to grab, I'm going to go to face mode. And we're going to grab, I think you can select with a paintbrush. So I can select all of these faces. Is that going to work for me? Ah, didn't work for me. That's a useless tool. Alright, so let's grab all of these faces, go straight down. So you and 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 you. So because this comes down to a lower level and forms like a talon, so I'm going to do it in the side here, so they all come down something like that. They come down, it looks like they come down, they look quite hard. It comes down quite sharp with like a cliff kind of thing going on over there. Alright, I feel like I've done this wrong. If I look through there, oh, I missed it. I missed completely. So Control Z, and I want all of these faces, including these faces. So you and you and you. So all of these. Maybe this is where the paintbrush will be handy. It hasn't been handy anywhere else yet. So you guys. Ah, that's no good. That worked a little bit better. Alright, so we want to bring it down just after the bend, something like that. Just double check in the back here, so that's about right. Okay, so you kind of got this rounded area over here. And I feel like it does come up in the middle a little bit, so we're going to grab these faces in here. Just the ones through the middle, and you'll see why I created 3 of them now, because we want to bring that bulge upwards just a little bit like that. Alright, so you kind of got that talon bulge going on over here. I'm going to even it out by bringing this face down a little bit so it kind of merges a bit better. Alright, the same thing it appears if you look here, it's very rounded, so this is quite a high bulge happening here. So this is going to be the inverse this time. I'm going to grab all these faces. You can't grab an edge loop of faces. I thought you could. I don't remember why I thought you could do that, but anyway, we do it the good old-fashioned way. So all of these faces I want to pick up to get a bit more bulge in the middle, like that. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So you've got this nice bulbous feeling thing going on here. Now, I feel like in here it comes up and over and comes back around and joins itself. So to do that, we're first going to have to join them together. So I'm going to go to the edge modes over here. We're going to grab all these guys, pull it up, something like that. Okay, I'm going to move the whole lot back down to the ground plane, a little bit closer to the ground plane. I'll leave a little bit of gap between it and the ground plane, and we're going to mirror. Alright, so we're going to grab, I'm going to turn off my filter, we're going to grab the whole thing. We're going to do a mirror over 0, copy it around here, and then we're going to join the two into one item. Alright, so we're going to use the stitch tool. We're going to grab the first set of vertex edges, which is this one, and then we're going to grab the second set of vertex edges, that one, and they're joined, and I just press enter and we're done. Alright, so now you have this kind of double-sided pendant thing going on, which I'm happy with so far. We go to, I feel like it comes down over here, near this area. So I'm going to grab all these faces through the top here, I guess. I'm going to go face mode, and I'm going to grab, wireframe mode is going to work for me maybe. So I'm going to grab both those faces, both these faces. No, it grabs them together. That's pretty awkward. Alright, so I'm going to grab this face, grab all of these and grab their counterparts on the bottom, which I can no longer see. Oh my god. Alright, so unlock this guy and hide it. It's all these little quality of life things that make proper subdivision modeling tools a lot better. Alright. It's okay, Rhino is still new to SubD, so I guess they'll get there eventually. So we're kind of bringing this in, and I got that all wrong again, so I've got to paint out more faces. You know what, let me just see if I can grab everything through here. Like that. Is that it? Everything through here, everything through here, and everything. God damn, these selection tools suck ass. Like big time. Right, let's let go of everything here. Okay, have I got everything? Have we got everything? Let's have a look. So bring that all down a little bit like that. Then I want to let go with control these ones. I'll let go of those ones. I'm going to bring these ones in a little bit like that, and I kind of feel like something like that's happening there, or must be happening, because otherwise this is not going to get over. So we good? Are we? So let's grab all of these guys and all of these guys, and let's scale them in a bit more. I feel like if I grab the edges here, we're just going to even it out at the moment, so I'm going to go to edge mode, because you can see that this is kind of lumpy, right? So I'm going to scale that in so it doesn't look as lumpy. That looks fine. I think that this one needs to be scaled a little bit, because it kind of looks like a sudden plateau. So I'm okay with that. So I'm okay with the rest of this, except here again we have that sudden plateau problem. So I'm going to do that a little bit like so. Try even in. Alright, so I think we're good over there. I might grab these edge rings and shift this edge ring and shift this edge ring, and I might move them a little smaller again, like that. Yeah. Alright, so I think that we're okay there. Then we're going to start working on the balance of this. I'd like to straighten this out, but let's do it after the fact. So let's show our item again. So let's show our plane and let's lock it. Okay, so now we want to come out from this edge over the top of this and then around the bottom of it. Okay, so I'm going to grab these two faces in this case, this face here and this face here, and I'm going to do an extrude. Oopsie. Lock. Let's try that again. Alright. I'm going to grab this face here and this face here, and I'm going to do a straight extrude to about there, and I'm going to move it up. I'm going to do another straight extrude to about there. I'm going to move that one up a little bit, and I'm going to do another straight extrude for it to finish off with. Alright. So while I'm in there, let's pull that out. It looks like I might need another extrude out to there. We're going to rotate that face so it kind of matches, and we're going to scale it out to get this kind of V-shaped thing we've got going on there. Let's put this in a ghosted view. That looks good to me. I'm in face mode, so let me go to edge mode. Grab all these edges, straighten them out, and scale them kind of there. Then same thing with these. Oopsie. Let's grab these, let's kind of straighten them out and scale them out a bit. Alright, so you guys scale you out a bit, and then you scale in a bit, I guess. Alright, so we're getting there a little bit at a time. So yeah, that looks like about where we need to be, something like that, and then this is just going to come over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish extruding the bottom one, line it all up, and then I'll do them together. Alright, so I think what we're wanting to do now is make sure these are not touching, so that looks okay to me there, which means I'm going to grab this edge ring and I'm going to make it a little bit thinner here, and we're going to grab this edge ring here and move it up. So this edge ring here, move the whole thing up a little bit, and I'm also going to scale the whole thing thinner because it's looking a bit fat at the moment. Alright, so we're going to do that, and we're going to pick it up, and then I think that we're going to scale all of these a little bit thinner in the Z direction because it's looking very fat. Alright, and then move them. That's looking pretty much okay to me. There's nothing touching over there. Alright, so I want to duplicate the same process on the bottom. We'll move these loops in together afterwards. So I want to again unlock this bottom plate. I wish there was a better way to do this, guys. There isn't really. So let's take this guy, sorry, release and hide. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing on the bottom face. I'm going to grab these two faces here, so you, and we're going to extrude them once, move them down, extrude them again, and then extrude them again, because we did it 4 for the other one. Alright, now I want to try to get them to match up, so I'm going to change my top view to my bottom view. So where I can see it on the top now, I'm going to take that top and I'm going to go set view and I'm going to make it bottom view. Alright, and that means we can now kind of match these things up, make sure that they align on both sides. We don't have a side view of what the AI drew, so we don't really have a way to understand what it did, but we can kind of bring these things and line them up as close as we can, so that when we're editing them all together afterwards, it doesn't become an issue. Alright, so let's pull these in kind of like that, and then this one here, we rotate it, bring it like that, and scale it out a bit. Alright, so it's kind of looking like it is where it's meant to be at the moment. I can just move it all over, something like that. Okay, then let's do the straightening up part of it. So let's go back into let's go into here. We want to make them all a little bit thinner, as we did before. Make sure it's not actually touching somewhere, so bring it out a little bit more. This one and this one both get thinner a little bit. Alright, and I guess bring them out a little bit more like that. Okay, so we're now no longer touching anywhere there, and I feel like we're going to now bridge these two faces. So we're going to do a bridge between them. Select the first set of faces, this one and this one. Select the second set of faces, this one and this one. And it creates a bridge between the two. So we kind of have what we need here. I feel like we need to start fixing this up before we go too much further. I actually feel like we can delete this edge loop, and I feel like we can delete that edge loop, and then use these ones, move them up, and pick them up a little bit like that. That's looking, I feel like that's a lot more organic. I want to bring all these edge loops forward a little bit. There we go. I'm happy with that. Alright, so same thing on the bottom. I feel like that wants to come forward just a little bit, and down just a little bit. And now that, yeah, that the whole thing feels a lot better to me at the moment. Alright, so let's bring that in, and then let's get our reference image back, because you can see that it's very wonky there. So let's turn this off, and let's get a reference image back in. Let's show the reference image. Let's lock the reference image. Let's go into our top view. I'm going to take that back to top view. So go from bottom view and set view to top. Go on top. You'll see now why I try to line them up, so that I can grab them together if I can. So this looks kind of, I don't know, it looks weird to me. So I'm going to go to edge mode. Maybe if I go to wireframe, this is going to work a little better. So we have the two tops over there, we have a bottom over there, so I have that edge loop, and I have this edge loop, and we want to bring them over. Kinda, it looks like that thing angles out at an angle like this. Then let's go to ghosted. We have this edge loop here, which looks like it comes over a little bit like that. And then you've got this kind of weird thing happening here. We've got a decision to make. Is this a shadow or is this part of the geometry? I can't really tell. So I'm going to go with it's part of the geometry. Who knows? Alright. So I'm going to grab these edge loops here. Do we want to pull it out? You know what? I think it's going to make for an ugly pendant. So I'm going to use my own AI, and I'm going to kind of even these things out here. Alright, so grab that edge loop. I'm going to scale it a little bit in towards itself. I'm going to pull it out like that, which means I also need to grab these edge loops and kind of pull them in, something like that. I'm trying to make it a little bit more even than what we had from the AI. I'm going to grab that in like that. Alright, so that's pretty good. Let's see how far we get from the original design. I'm trying to decide if this is like, because this looks like it's, I don't know, is that metal there? Is that part of the charm of it? Do we try to replicate it? If we do, then the answer is we've got to do this. Alright, we've got to go in here and we have to grab this entire edge loop here. So this guy over here, and this guy over here, because remember we're mimicking the top and the bottom. We're going to have to kind of pull it out like this. Yep, and then we're going to have to do the same thing with this one and this one over here, and pull that out like that, and then the same thing with you and you, and kind of try to get this whatever this thing is. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but yeah. Again, our subject material is a bit dodge out of the gate, so let's bring that out like this. Alright, so that gives us this kind of whatever this black story is going on here. It does look like it's at an angle. It looks like this is lower down and this is higher up. So let's see if we can achieve that. You're going to achieve that by grabbing this one and this one and this one and moving it in this direction. So you kind of get a taper towards the bottom. Something like that. Alright, I'm going to go to shaded mode here so we can see the angle that we are creating. I got to say that I'm not crash happy with that. I feel like it comes up a little bit like that, and then perhaps this and this and this are going to come in a little bit as well. So like that, so you kind of get this V sloping away towards the end there. This over here is going to have to come up, so you keep your bulbous shape near the middle. And I might have to go all the way down to verts mode to try fix some of this. Alright, so I'm gonna grab this vert and drop just the vert section a little bit lower to try even it out, and then I think the rest of that's still looking pretty flowy. So look, that's my interpretation of what's happening here. Whether that's right or wrong, I can't tell you, but now the pendant has a distinct front and a back, because the front has this kind of slope moving away. Alright, let's talk about evening up that slope. So let's see it as we got it. Yeah, I'm going to turn off and I'm going to run zebra. So zebra is going to show you zebra striping on an item so that you can see, you know, have you got a nice flow. So you can see like all of this is a nice flow. Over here is a weirdness. So you can see there's a kink in the material we're going to have to get rid of here. And you can see you've got a lot of kinks happening here, some weirdness happening here. So on the inside this is actually quite nice. You've got a good flow. But on the top of this it's not pretty. So you've got a lot of different flows trying to move to each other. So over here it's normal, over here it's normal, but at this intersection there's a lot of weirdness going on. Alright, so you can turn zebra back off again. So zebra, just hit the zebra command again and turn zebra off. Alright, so you can tell that the problem is around here somewhere. Alright, that you've got this weird up and down. So I'm going to start going in edge mode. I'm going to grab this edge. I'm going to see if I bring it down a little bit, so that kind of evens out these guys. You can see that you've got a in vertex mode you've got a problem with the dip over here, so kind of try straight. What you're trying to get is a nice smooth flow. This over here is not a nice smooth flow, so either this has to come down or that has to come up. I think that this one needs to come down a little. Alright, that's looking better. I still see a bit of a kink in this area here, but I think that the kink is related to a problem here. So I'm going to take this vert, I'm going to move it down a little bit and try to get a nice flow on that vert, and try to get a nice flow on this vert. Alright, that's already looking a lot better. Okay, I'm happier with that. If we wanted to bring this in and make it sharp, we'd grab these edges now and we would kink them. Currently Rhino 7 doesn't have a variable system for doing this, so I'm going to go with it's not a great time in Rhino 7 now to be playing with kinking surfaces until they give us variable the ability to variably kink a surface. Alright, so I feel like this is going to come a little bit closer there, and we can bring these up a little bit closer here. So this one and this one, like that. Alright, so then we kind of got this nice flow thing happening here. It does look like there's some kind of weirdness happening on this point here. I'm just scared that, you know, when you work in one direction you can break something in another direction, but generally speaking, if you get your quads looking more quad-like, if that's even a word, so if you get the squares flowing nicely in a top view, like you can see there's something really not good here. Alright, so I want to kind of straighten that out, bring this one up, That's looking a lot better there. Alright, that actually is better. Yes. Okay, so I'm a lot happier with that flow. Alright, I feel like the talent, because we did notice before we had a bit of a kink going on here, so I'm going to grab this edge, the whole edge ring, the whole thing here. I'm going to delete it, which should significantly, yeah, so that fixes up that issue we had there. This goes down and then comes up, which is wrong. So I'm going to be grabbing this edge here, pull it up, grab this edge here, pull it up. What we're after is quite a sharp drop, but not so sharp that you end up down. Alright, so I'm going to grab this entire edge ring, assuming I can grab it. Selection in Rhino has been a little bit difficult today, guys, so if you grab that, no, our problem is not there. Our problem is that the rest of these are not low enough. Alright, so we're going to grab all these edge rings, and then come out here and grab these ones, a shift as well. And I'm going to scale them so that they are lower than that one. There we go, that's better. So now we have that part sorted out. So the next thing is it is a prong or a talon, so we're going to have to make some assumptions here. We don't have a side view of what the AI drew, so we're going to have an assumption that, say, this gets a little thinner towards the end, and then this gets thinner still, and then this gets thinner still, because it's meant to be like, I believe it's meant to be like a prong or a talon or something like that. So I feel like that's probably better. Okay, let's have a look at our top view of our pendant. So you've got this looks hard here, it looks like there's a hard join, and then this facets away. Alright, and this also looks like it's a little bit flat at the top. So how do we get this hard section here? The hard section here, I'm going to have to introduce another edge ring at this level, so I'm going to double click this edge ring. I'm going to insert one more about here somewhere. Alright, and we're going to bring these two edges closer to each other. So I'm going to bring this edge up to this one, and you start introducing a kink. Alright, when two edges get close to each other, this is what you get. You get a sharper bend. Alright, so for there to be a bend means of necessity this needs to be down. So let's have a look at our reference material. So yes, it is a little bit lower than that surface. Alright, so that is about right. I think that this edge needs to come closer to this edge, and then this one needs to come down like so. Alright, then you get this kind of a kink thing. It also looks like both of them are in this direction, so I'm going to shorten this here, and I'm going to bring this knot forward. So I'm going to grab the vertex, I'm going to grab the vertex here, and I'm going to kink it forward like that. Alright, so we've kind of got this kink thing happening down in this direction. I'd like to grab this vertex and pull it down as well, and then this vertex and pull it down as well, so we can get some kind of even. It kind of looks like it's sloping away there. Alright, I'm going to grab this vertex and pull it back in this direction like that, and this vertex and pull them up in that direction. Alright, so we kind of got this thing going on here. Is that kind of what we had in there? It's kind of like a little flat surface area there. Alright, this one I want to pick up. So, and then I think pretty much you got that kink area sorted out. Okay, so this we don't have a side view, but for sure these come in smaller. So I'm going to grab all of those and scale them in. And then I think that pretty much that's that. I feel like these ones need to come out, so I'm going to grab, I'm going to try to grab just these edges without those. Did we get them? Yes, we did. So I'm going to bring those back. Then you get a nice rounded edge there. Alright, so yes, we've got all the shapes we need there. Then I guess the final part is to add this little pendant on here. Again, we're making a lot of assumptions, but I'm going to assume there's some kind of jump ring in there, and then this is a bail that goes through the chain. Okay, it's a very organic shape. It's looking pretty good as it is now. I'd like to have seen these two separate, but I mean, we're copying something where they're not separate, so nothing really we can do about that. Alright, this is very difficult to judge what's happening here, guys, so just bear with me. Does this all move in? No, it doesn't. It actually is there. Alright, so we leave that like that. Then I'm going to put a torus in here. So we're going to, since we're working in SubDs, I'm going to create a SubD torus over here. Make it like yay size, I guess. And then bring it in like yay size. So we have a torus for the bale to go through. Then we're going to make another torus in the side view. I'm going to do it about here. Bring it out about there and make this one a little bit fatter, I guess. This one, let's scale it in this direction. Alright, I think that's pretty much okay. I'd like to bring it out a bit more, I guess, something like that, and then scale it sideways in that direction. Alright, so this guy, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to scale it inwards. I'm going to grab these three. Now I need my edges mode. I'm going to grab these three and these three, scale them towards each other. Then I'm going to grab just these and scale them, just these, and scale them towards each other to make the point of the bale. I'm also going to, the bale gets thinner near the front of it, and you can stretch the bale out a little bit, something like that. How big is this bale meant to be? Oh, this bale's way too big. Alright, so these guys are going to come down here. These guys I can scale towards each other to get the whole thing thinner. Not too thin. Bring it forward a little bit. So where's that bale? About something like that. Alright. I'm going to bring these guys towards each other. I'm going to thin off the bale about there. Then I think that we got to just do this kind of scaling component of it. So we're going to stretch out the top of the bale to something like that, and the middle of the bale to something. It's a pretty even looking bale, so I think that's about it. I feel like this is not a good result here, so I'm going to bring these, I want to scale them out a bit bigger and scale them something like that. Alright, I'm good with that. And we turn our filters off. We grab that, we push it in there, make sure the two are not touching, which they most definitely are touching. So I'm going to bring this all these components a little bit thinner towards each other. Yeah. Okay, turn the filter off, grab you, bring you in, and so now it's kind of sitting in that space. This whole thing I'm going to scale a little bit bigger, like that. Move it over a little bit, and I'm going to move this back a little bit and thin off the tip of the bale. So these guys, oopsie, edges, take the whole thing here, scale that in a tad. Alright, scale that in a tad to make it straight. Alright, okay, I'm happy with that. So filter off, grab this guy, pull it in there, and then we're good. Alright, it does look like it's smaller, but we did ad-lib a little bit here because you can't see if there's a link in there, and or if the link is, is internal. So you can try to, I mean, you can try to match this thing as good as you can, but I imagine that we're pretty much where we need to be at this point if you're going to turn it into a piece of jewelry. It does look like there's a sharper, this is a sharper edge bale, not quite as rounded as this, so you can grab your middle edge ring and you can insert some more loops into it. So grab the edge rings, grab you, got one, grab you and insert one. Where are we? Insert there. Insert an edge ring quite close to the edge of it. I'm holding Alt because I'm snapping onto everything. It's like, hey, come on, like that. So we've got one in there, so we've got a pretty sharp edge, and we're going to grab this edge ring and we insert another one in there and put it in the eye. Alright, so we have one on each edge. So these two edge rings I'm going to grab now, and I'm going to move them sideways. These two edge rings I'm going to grab and move them sideways, and what you're going to end up with is a pretty sharp edge. Alright, all over there. So we'll do the same thing this side. Grab that edge ring, pull it in, grab this edge ring, pull it out until you get a sharp edge. Alright, okay. I feel like this needs to come out a little bit more there, like that. And the other one, in fact, I feel like we've got a V thing going on over there, so I'm going to bring that out a little bit. Is that right? There we go. Alright. Turn off the filters. So we've got a sharper edge on there. I'm going to pull this over, pull it up, and then I think I'm done with this. Alright, so you can apply some materials now. You can decide You can see in here you've got this nice curvature. This was a bit more of a flat, so you can grab this face if you want to, or these faces over here. You can insert an edge ring, sharpen it off, and bring these faces down. See this kind of thing that looks like it was broken. So you can grab this edge ring here. Let's grab the edges. So where does it start from? From about here. So about here, and here, and here, and here. Actually all the way around. So it goes, so it actually would be from here somewhere. So I'm going to insert an edge ring all the way through here. You know what, for today I think that's enough of a lesson. Let's just straighten up our components. Please Rhino select for me. There we go. Also, by the way, if you've got too many edge rings in there, the other secret is just get rid of some of them. So you go in your shaded, in your ghosted viewport here. I think you'd get away with less than this many edge rings over here. Alright. I wish there was a way to straighten edge rings out so you could grab these loops and straighten them, but there isn't. The best thing you've got at the moment is to grab your two vertices together and then kind of straighten them out like that. If you can, it gives you much nicer geometry, something more even to work with. Trust me, the straighter these things look, the nicer the whole thing looks. Alright, so you remember when I first drew this out, it was pretty dodgy, right? I was just kind of slapping it together, and this is the result you get when you're slapping stuff together, this very uneven looking stuff. So try to, where you can, even them out. You can see over there it doesn't look good, and this could also just be me being a little bit anal about the whole story, right? Okay, we're good there. I think I'm going to grab these guys, pull them out, something like that. These guys want to go in, something like that. I think that we're okay here. Alright, I'm good with that. Okay, let's apply some materials to it. I'm going to go back in out of filter mode. I'm going to unlock. We can move that guy sideways so we can have a look at what we're doing. And then in your rendered viewport, you can start applying a few materials to this thing. So I'm going to go into my materials tab. Oh, this is very flat, very, very flat. I missed something. So rounded, shaded. So this is not domed enough. So that means this edge ring here. So edges. My apologies. This needs to be more rounded. Something is not good here. So I'm going to grab this. Oh, it's horrible when Rhino doesn't want to select stuff. It really slows down your workflow. Oh, for goodness sakes. I'm clicking like 100 times to try select something. It's very, very frustrating. Okay, so I want to grab these two and scale them kind of towards each other because this top is meant to be more rounded. Then the same thing on this side, alright? So we're going to grab the whole edge ring and then control and let go of everything we don't want to mess around with. Is that an easier workflow? It appears like it is. And then shift and grab this whole edge ring and then control and let go of everything we don't want to change. Be very careful of this because you're selecting a bunch of stuff that you can't see as well. Alright. Why am I must have something selected somewhere else because I am showing something somewhere else. Why am I out here? I'm so nervous now because this selector should be in between these two. There's something I've got selected that I'm scaling for sure. Alright, so that's more round. Alright. Okay, now let's render it. Okay, I think that'll look better with something on it so we can shade. So let's have a look in the shading viewport. Let's go to our render items. We're in polished metal. I'm going to grab polished titanium, stick it on there. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Although this is not really titanium and this feels like this area should be higher. This face over here feels like it needs to be higher, so we're going to grab that face, pull it up. Something like that. Alright. See where we're at. Yep, it looks a bit better. Alright, so let's go back to our rendered view. And was I in rendered? Oopsie, in rendered. Let's try a different material. so you're pretty good. And then let's stick you, what is it, just polished steel, was it? And then let's put polished steel on all the rest. Rhino is not the best for doing this kind of rendering, but you kind of have this pendant drawn out now using SubD. Okay, we had to figure out a little bit as we were going along, because you don't have a side view of that AI drawing, but you kind of got there in the end. I feel like some work needs to be done here. Something is not okay. I feel like something has to be sharpened up. So let me go back to shaded viewport. I feel like I need to insert an edge here. So let me grab these edges. This edge and this edge and this edge, and insert another edge over here, and then bring these out. Oops, too far. That giving us a really sharp edge, not so much. Very difficult to figure this stuff out. So you got a kind of a sharp edge here now, kind of a sharp edge here, and then it tapers out around here somewhere. So let's grab that point. Let's grab the points, and hopefully we can do this on both sides. Alright, so you've got this kind of soft area here, which kind of sharpens up into a much sharper thing that's happening here. Alright, so that point I'm going to just move over, kink it a little bit more, and move that point up. Whoops, too much kink. So you kind of got that kink happening there. You got the same thing happening here. I'm going to bring this over that way, and then bring this over this way, and up a little. So we're sharpening up that kink. Alright, so that I think gives you this kind of kink area we've got going on here. That's good. Alright, so let's go to rendered. That's better. That's looking a lot more like I want it to look. Good. So I'm going to just pause that here, because for the high-speed videos it's good to see this in a couple of various views. And then I'll leave that tutorial on in the usual place for you guys. Showed in a couple of different renders. Whoopsie. Not a bad looking pendant actually. Wouldn't mind making one of those for myself. Pretty good looking. Also the same trick I use for sharpening up here. It appears like you need it on this end, but I'm going to stop this video now, otherwise you'd carry on forever. Okay. No, this end is quite fat, so we can leave it like that. And then you can play around with the metals. You've got textured metals inside here. You can put a copper patina on there. Then you got it in a very rough looking thing, something like that, and you can hit it with a render in a ray traced view, and then have it in a really rough material. I don't know, whatever blows your hair back, generally speaking. So I'm going to Control Z a little bit, because that looks really horrible. I can't believe I did that. Okay, and then get back into our rendered view. Okay, so there we are. That pendant's ready to go. Oh, we got the wrong metal, polished, and stick that up in there. And you could stick that on a 3D printer and wear that pendant tomorrow. Alright guys, catch you later. Cheers.